I know all these people are claiming today, Babesngedo, Nigeria, Somali, or whatever. When was Nigeria going to help us when they were contending with their own coups at the time? 3 countries laid on the ground and we literally walked on their backs for this freedom. Zambia, Angola, Tanzania. Outside Africa, Russia.
So I watched that with Nzikimazwai and Mama Chabalala, and I have to say it was absolutely pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic because Mama Chabalala supposedly has a PhD, she supposedly worked in the army, but the woman knows nothing about military history. The woman knows nothing about African history or South African history and how South Africa was liberated. And we understand that she had to resign from the Navy because she made fraudulent allegations. So this woman is incompetent. And because of that level of incompetence, I won't even bother calling her doctor. She's Umama Shabalala. And then Nzikimazwai says that she has a program to provoke debate, which is what we're doing right now. However, more importantly, she wants to give a platform for women to tell their stories in a world where men erase the history of women. And then this woman comes, and the very first thing she tries to do is to erase the history of African countries that contributed to the liberation of South Africa. She says only 3 countries liberated South Africa, and this was Zambia, Angola, and Russia. She forgot about the Cubans that sent 30,000 of their soldiers, aircraft, tanks, artillery, and actually fought the Boers and defeated the Boers in Angola to force them to retreat from Angola, retreat from Namibia, and start to negotiate with the ANC. She forgot that Zimbabwean soldiers were with MK, with the Angolans and the Cubans since 1975 fighting the Boers. She also forgot that there were other border wars that were taking place in Southern Africa that made it easier for the Boers to be defeated as their resources were depleted. In Zimbabwe, the Boers sent their commandos, they sent what was called Super Zapu that was being trained here in South Africa over the border to destabilize that country. They bombed what is called our Thornhill Air Base, destroyed 40% of our aircraft so that our aircraft would not challenge them in the air. They went to Nkomo barracks, they bombed those barracks and destroyed weapons of almost $1 billion. And from there, they went on to bomb ZANU-PF headquarters, they went on to bomb bridges, they went on to cause a civil war, and they went on to even bomb what was ANC head offices in Harare, where you say that there were no ANC fighters, and that was bombed in 1986. They began to bomb our road and railway line to port in Mozambique. They began to bomb our bridges called the Mpungwe Bridge. This was done by SA commandos. They even bombed our fuel tanks that Zimbabwe had fuel problems for a year. And Zimbabwe had to deploy 14,000 soldiers to Mozambique to fight against the Boers and their proxies. That is why we have the Battle of Casabanana, the Battle of Mutarara, which Zimbabwe won, and that's the only reason why that war eventually ended. When the war in Mozambique and their defeat in Zimbabwe became a fact, their equipment destroyed, the Boers no longer had enough equipment to continue fighting their war in Angola. That is how they got defeated. And when they got defeated, they realized that if SADC countries came together with Cuba and decided to attack them on South African soil, they would not win that war. And for that reason, they then had to begin negotiations. That's how you got your independence. You didn't get it by going to jail for 27 years. You didn't get it by throwing stones at their military equipment. You didn't get it by necklacing your own people. You did not get your independence by toy-toying. You got your independence because the Boers were defeated in wars, in what were called the border wars. Every South African needs to read this history. And that history is difficult to come by, but if you look enough, you will find it. My problem is this problem of what we call masters of colonial administration that we have in Africa. I wrote an article about that we've got these masters and doctors of colonial administration who know nothing, who are indoctrinated, who don't read beyond the curriculum given to them by the enemy, and they think they know. But we also believe that some of them are agents of the apartheid government and Stratcom, and so they deliberately give wrong information, false information. They say that Zimbabwe didn't participate in liberation, Mozambique didn't participate in liberation to feed the xenophobia, the divide and conquer for our masters to continue to control us. Pansi, no Mama Chabala.